Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, back to do another episode of About Last Nightmare. Of course, this is when me and my buddy Nick, the Last Shoegazer, sit down and watch a movie at the same time and kind of give our thoughts on it. I do the first part of the review, which is the facts, just the facts. And he does the second part of the review, which is the basic plot synopsis, and gives our ranking on the film. So without further ado, let's get started. Now we did 1983's The House on Sorority Row. I love this film. I'm going to say that right away. I'm not going to give you my ranking because that's Nick's job, but we both really loved it. I'm going to give you some of the facts on it. And it kind of looks like a bunch of chicken scratch with a whole bunch of arrows pointing everywhere. So let's get started right on this. Okay, it's from 1983. It clocks in at 92 minutes, and it's written and directed by Mark Rossman, with additional dialogue by Bobby Fine. Now, Nick and I both watched this at the same time. It has the same runtime. I have what you can see here is the Elite DVD, which only comes with the trailer. Nick got the new Code Red House on Sorority Row with the slipcover, which I'm sure he's going to show you guys in part 2. And it has a ton of extras, so it kind of blows this one away. Eventually I may upgrade, but I know that he said to me last night when we were watching it that it was basically pristine, the picture quality and everything. So, but anyway, this stars Eileen Davidson as Vicky, and if Eileen Davidson sounds familiar, she is on a lot of soaps. And the reason why I know who she is because my wife and I watch The Housewives of Beverly Hills. Now, she is no longer a cast member, but she was on there for maybe 3 or 4 seasons. She is on The Days of Our Lives, and she was on the Young and the Restless in the past. Now, this is where everything gets kind of confusing. She was married to, her second husband was John Lindstrom. And I was looking at some information about him, and I was like, boy, he really looks familiar. Well, he was in, I think he's a director and a writer, if I'm not mistaken. But he was also in some soap operas. One of the ones my mom used to watch when I was younger, Santa Barbara. So I guess that's kind of why he stuck out to me. She is now married to Vincent Van Patten, who, if that sounds familiar, he was in Hell Night. He played Seth, the surfer boy. Now, that's Eileen Davidson's third husband, is Vincent Van Patten. He used to be married to Betsy Russell, who was in Saw 4, 5, 6, and the final chapter. She was also in Chain Letter, which was a pretty decent film, and Cheerleader Camp. Of course, he got divorced from her and married Eileen Davidson. This is just kind of a who's who of the horror community, that they're all kind of connected. Now, that was a mouthful. The House on Sorority Row also stars Kate McNeil as Catherine. Now, I had seen her. She also looked familiar to me. She is the actually, I don't want to say that because I don't want to give anything away. But she was also in Monkey Shines and As the World Turns and a bunch of other TV shows. The last person who kind of looked familiar to me out of the girls of the sorority, the main girls, is Harley Jane Kozak, who plays Diane. She was in Arachnophobia. She was in The Favor, which was a kind of a thriller type movie. And she was also in a movie that I happen to enjoy, a movie called Side Out with C. Thomas Howell and the guy that played in, oh man, now I can't remember the name of the show. Peter Horton, he also played in Children of the Corn. I'm trying to come up with this off the top of my head. So, that's pretty much my part. Now, go to part 2 of About Last Nightmare, where Nick, the Last Shoegazer, will inform you on the rest of the film and give our overall rating. We really had a good time with this, and it's nice because this is a movie that I have seen several times since I was younger, and getting to experience it, even if we're not in each other's presence, getting to experience it with a friend who has never seen it for the first time, kind of takes me back to the first time I watched it. So it was really nice, and yeah, pretty cool. So, as I said before, tune in to the Last Shoegazer for part 2 of our The House on Sorority Row breakdown and review. If you like what you see in here, hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, peace.